within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
1-2. Line to left center field. That ball's in the gap. Beavers coming home. Alonso to third. Basayo has tied it.
There you go, Big Sam.
Down to their final strike, the Orioles come through. Tavares has had a wonderful start to the year on 1-1. He swings away, belts a ball to center. Isbell back. Isbell wants it. It's gone! Extra, extra! Everybody's coming home! A grand slam for Leody Taveras. Deep in the night.
Yeah, just, your run-of-the-mill Monday. I don't know what it is with the Orioles and Monday baseball games. Be nice if they could win a nice boring game at some point. Like a nice 5-1, uneventful. That would be swell if they could.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't remember it.
It's true, but it would be nice if we didn't remember all of the wins. It would be nice if they had enough wins that we could just not remember them.
It's like if a tree falls in the forest.
Yeah, I'd be good with that.
No one's
I'd be completely okay with them just
they
having
actually
a nice
win a
boring,
baseball game?
Yeah, boring, ho-hum.
Even though there was really no one at that game.
Like that Chicago series where the only thing we remember is Kyle Bradish dropping a baseball. That's the only thing we remember. Couldn't say anything else about the 3 games they played in Chicago.
Gunnar hit a home run, at least 1 or 2, right? You had a few.
A bit of a right.
I remember Tyler
right.
O'Neill deciding not to run out of pop
very worked up about
and
that.
costing the Orioles a run.
Moral of the story being the Orioles win last night, just the way they drew it up, 7-5 in 11 innings.
Over. Thought it was in jeopardy.
Was it 12? Was it 12? Wait, was it 11 or 12 innings? I don't remember.
It was 12 innings.
12 innings, yeah. Because nobody scored in the 10th. And then they both scored in the 11th. And then they scored all the runs in the 12th. There's, again, it's one baseball game. So what's your takeaway? They can't live like this.
Or?
They can't. They absolutely cannot live like this. I feel like Nate Bargatze. I don't have to live like this. It is not something they can continue to try to get this thing where you put 100 guys on base and you hope that you can just survive it the way that they did with Bassett the other night and they did with Bradish last night. You cannot keep trying to walk the tightrope like that. I mean, it is insane that they were in that game last night. And it's the part that kind of gets forgotten because of everything that ultimately happened. But it is bonkers that they were in that baseball game. And they did make some defensive plays, and Kyle Bradish came away with a couple of big strikeouts. But he put 13 runners on in 5 1/3 innings.
And wiggled out of it every time.
13. It's untenable, man. It's just untenable. You cannot live like this. And it's obviously more difficult when we're having the conversation about Kyle Bradish because the second part of the conversation is what is going on with Kyle Bradish? Like, what is happening? And God bless him. And if you're only looking into the vacuum of last night, God bless him for somehow figuring out a way to clean up his own mess. But it is untenable, and it is untenable for the Orioles, for Kyle Bradish to pitch like this season, and for them to think that they have a path to competing for something of relevance. It will not work. They made the decision they made that they did not need to address the top of the rotation after they said they needed to address the top of the rotation, which was weird. It's a weird combination to come out and say you need to do it and then not do it because you didn't need to do it, despite the fact that you said you needed to do it. I'm still kind of trying to wrap my mind around all that. It feels like I'm doing a Daily Show bit. They made that decision. The only path forward involves them having been right to have been as bullish as they were about their top starters. And to this point, a giant no. And that doesn't even address, of course, the real problem, which was they didn't hit. And they're not a good offensive team.
He scored 7 runs.
You're absolutely right, Griffin. They did score 7
We're watching the same game?
Yeah. Yes, the positives are the positives. Samuel Basayo came through with 2 massive hits. Just in the nick of time. I mean, literally just in the nick of time. And he had great at-bats all night because he also had worked a couple of walks and, you know, a hard hit ball that was an out. Like, I mean, Samuel Basayo had, God, I mean, I think Isbell made the one that he caught a little bit more interesting than it needed to be, but it was still a hard hit ball. Samuel Basayo had a great night, and Leody Taveras has been a revelation. And the early season Orioles have been saved by Jeremiah Jackson and Leody Taveras from being disastrous. They're still not good, but they could be disastrous. They are largely treading water. Not completely, but largely treading water. They're still below 500. Thanks to those guys. Enrico Garcia. And the occasion that Gunnar Henderson hits a home run. But not Gunnar Henderson on the whole, because Gunnar Henderson on the whole has not been very good. I have no idea what was going on last night getting picked off twice. I mean, that is nasty work. I mean, that is nasty work. But on the whole, he has not been very good. He's just hit some home runs. And so that's kind of made up for the fact that he really hasn't been very good. He's hitting 190, 196. 196.
Which means when he breaks out of this, it's going to be, buckle up.
I mean, it's insane how bad he's actually been, but how much home runs can cover up for that because he still has like a 746 OPS, which isn't, overwhelming and certainly isn't the MVP version of Gunnar Henderson that you needed to see this season, but is at least redeemable. You're not as down on Gunnar Henderson as you are certain other guys. This team looks like a team that has to hit home runs and get walked. And last night, they kind of survived because they did draw a lot of walks, but they still weren't scoring runs until the 9th inning. They finished with 8 walks last night. They have to get walks and hit home runs because they're just not a good enough offense otherwise. And as we said yesterday, will the home runs come? I mean, for Pete Alonso, probably. For everybody as the weather warms up, yes. But as I pointed out, that means the other teams are going to hit home runs too. This is not a good offensive team. And some of that is they badly missed the one guy who has the best hit tool on the team in Jordan Westburg. And I guess I'm defaulting to that. Like, I think we would have said that about Gunnar the last couple of years, but I don't know what's happened to Gunnar's hit tool. It seems like the modern baseball machine has gotten to him and has suggested he needed to become a natural outcome hitter, the way that everybody has to be a natural outcome hitter anymore. So I think Jordan Westburg is now the best hit tool on the team. And yes, you missed that badly, but assuming you're going to have it, it's kind of a fool's gold situation, unfortunately, which sucks, but that's the reality of it. you'd think that Jackson Holiday would have a decent hit tool, but that's still like a we think. We still don't know that. We still haven't really seen it. This is just not a team that's a hit tool team. This is a team that's going to have to hit home runs and get walks. They got one last night, and it was a big one. But, boy, it is very difficult to watch this team. It's one thing that they're not great. It's another thing to just watch some of the non-competitive at-bats that you're getting from this group. And it's two different conversations because there's a party that says, God bless you for going out there and winning the game, right? Like, that's baseball. The crazy part about baseball is it's the ugliest you could possibly look. And then somehow you could end up winning a game. That's baseball. But at the same time, it is really hard to feel good about any of this. I mean, I guess maybe the bullpen, right? Like, feel good about I would say on the whole, the bullpen has been better than what our expectation was coming into the season. Ironically, the thing that we had the least confidence in the team was the bullpen. And unquestionably, the best overall part of this baseball team has been the bullpen. It's a weird world we're living in, man. Without a doubt, the most reliable, consistent part of this team has been the work they've gotten from the bullpen. So, give them credit. And I guess if the other areas can pick up, then maybe you feel better because, again, you didn't feel good at all about your bullpen coming into the year. And I don't think I am including Cameron Foster in that conversation.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
You just can't come in with runners on or something.
Maybe that's it.
Well, that was the second inning of work too, right? So.
No, he only pitched.
That was the only inning.
Yeah. They had
I thought, yeah, I don't know. What were the options? Was it
they had
Bial left?
Suarez left, I think. Would Wells have been available? Because I heard Kevin mention that.
Yeah.
That Suarez was the last option, and I was like, why wouldn't our friend Steve Johnson was texting, like, why wouldn't Tyler Wells be in the game? And I was like, you know what? It's funny you asked that because I don't know the answer, and I had to think about like how much everybody had pitched on Sunday.
Wells threw 23 pitches on Sunday.
So you wouldn't think that
Foster
would make him,
threw 33 on Sunday.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that would make Tyler Wells unavailable because I definitely heard Kevin say the same thing. So maybe there was something before the game that Albernaz had said Wells wasn't available for some reason. I just couldn't figure out. And it was Steve who was messaging me. At some point, we're just going to make Steve the co-host of the show. Like, at some point, he's just going to have to become our baseball season co-host because half of the show ends up being my text thread with him.
So that means, all right, so Wells hasn't pitched since Sunday, and Suarez hasn't pitched since Saturday. So those two were.
Well, I get that Suarez would have probably been the guy to
tonight.
go to, but it was weird. I definitely heard Kevin Brown say they're down to Foster and Suarez. Like, I definitely heard him say that, and that's why I was confused. I was like, wait a second, what am I missing? Anyway, the Orioles won. That is the reality. They won the game. Improbably, can't explain it, but they won the game. And so they've got that going for them. And Samuel Basallo, with all respect to Leody Taveras, and I mean that because as it turns out, they needed that grand slam. They needed all of the insurance. They needed more insurance than a Georgia football player. Respect to Leody Taveras for hitting the grand slam. But Samuel Basallo saved their ass last night and really had a very nice night all in all. So Samuel Basallo is going to be a man of the match. I'll put him up here in a minute on the board when we get the chance. But always excited to catch up with our next guest here on GCR. You know him as part of Foul Territory, my favorite baseball show. And also, he was in town, what is that now, 10 days ago, working the broadcast for Fox as the Orioles took on the Giants. And he was here for a victory which means we want more of him. That's the way that it works. No offense to our guy, Spilly Goat, Ryan Spilborgs, but he was here for a loss. A.J. Pierzynski was here for a win, and so we need him here more frequently. A.J. Pierzynski with us now here on GCR. A.J., it's Glenn in Baltimore. What's going on, brother? Thank you for taking the time for us.
It's all good, buddy. All good. Just enjoying baseball being on every day and getting to watch games all the time. It's a good time of year.
Can you help us enjoy a night where the Orioles couldn't score a run until they were down to their final strike, and they end up winning a baseball game, and we should be more excited about it because winning baseball games is a good thing, but yet we've seen a little bit too much of this from the Orioles offense recently, and so we're all a little bit confused about what's going on here.
What are you confused by?
I just don't understand how a team that on paper seemed like it should be a really good offense has been so wildly inconsistent. And I know that some of it obviously is that they missed Jordan Westburg, but we knew that Jordan Westburg wasn't going to be there to start the season. I think it's more like Gunnar Henderson's hitting 196. Is it just as simple as, hey, it's a small sample size, this is baseball, all's going to be good? Or is there a bigger problem somehow with the way that they constructed this offense that maybe it's just too reliant on guys hitting home runs?
Well, that's every team now. You can't just put the Orioles in that. That's just pretty much every baseball team. Every team relies on home runs, except maybe the Brewers, I guess, would be the one team in today's game where you could say they don't rely on hitting home runs. But the Yankees, Blue Jays last year, even though they were a contact team, they still hit a ton of home runs. Dodgers hit a ton of home runs, right? That home runs are the big thing. And listen, the Orioles are beat up too. I mean, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. You know, you mentioned Westburg, but also Jackson Holliday's not in there. Adley's not in there, and Adley was off to a really good start. Pete hasn't gotten going yet. You got to give guys some time. I say this all the time, and I don't. This is not an excuse, but it is true. When you switch teams for the first time, it is a huge deal, and nobody wants to say that because they don't want to use that as an excuse. But switching teams for the first time, like Pete Alonso, is a gigantic deal. Whether it's because of the contract like he signed, whether it's because everything is new. You have to remember, everything is new. He's still trying to learn people's names in the clubhouse and the reporters and who he can trust and who he can't trust. He's got to figure out where he can eat dinner every night. He's got to figure out his route to the ballpark. He's got to figure out all these little things. And again, it's not an excuse. Pete would never say it's an excuse, but I'm just trying to explain to people that when you switch teams for the first time, it is a huge deal. He'll get going. He'll hit his home runs. He's a great dude in the clubhouse. Ask anybody. You need him going. Obviously, Gunner's going to be better than what Gunner is right now. But for me, the key is how do you get Kobe Mayo and some of these younger guys that have been prospects for years and years and years, Cowser and Beavers and these guys to take the next step? That's what's confusing to me is some of these guys just have not taken the next step.
Well, and I think let me talk about a couple of those guys because I think they're in different places, right? Like I think the Mayo part of the conversation is unfortunate where you've tried to reset him. I don't know that you need to reset him. I just wonder if at this point, if Jackson Holliday comes back, that Jeremiah Jackson has to play more third base because you need to keep his bat in the lineup right now, and Kobe Mayo is just going to have to take whatever at-bats you can get for a right-hander off the bench at some point.
Well, how can you take Jackson out of the lineup? He's been swinging it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been hitting home runs. He's not a home run hitter, but he's been hitting home runs. He's been doing all kinds of stuff. He brings like a different presence almost to that lineup. It's crazy, right? Because it's not somebody that you guys, I guarantee you, going into the year, we're like, oh, we're going to count on Jackson to do a ton of
100%.
stuff. Right? But that's the beauty of baseball, and that's the beauty of this game is that you just never know sometimes who's going to step up and who can perform in those situations. But again, for me, it just comes down to how do you get, whether it's Kobe Mayo, whether it's Jackson, whoever that guy needs to be, you got to find somebody because you can't always, as much as we're like, oh, this guy's always going to be good. Everybody has down months or down weeks in baseball, and it's really hard to rely on one guy. Now, maybe Shohei, maybe, heck, I don't even know. I was going to say Juan Soto, but even he has bad months, bad weeks, bad halves. It's hard every single year to have everybody be perfect. And that's why this game is so hard and so frustrating, but at the same time so beautiful because of that. And so to say, hey, Gunner, we need you to do everything every night. Well, that's not fair to Gunner because he can't do everything every night. Hey, hey, Adley, we need you to do everything. Pete, we need you to do everything every night. You can't put it on one guy because no team in the history of baseball,
Sure.
I'm sorry, has ever been carried by one
Of course
guy.
not.
It takes 9.
Right.
You know, baseball is a game of individual accomplishments made up in a team sport. So it's individuals that make up a team, and they all have to work together. In baseball, listen, I think the Orioles are going to be okay. I've worried a little bit more about. I've always worried a little bit more about their pitching than I have about their offense. I think their offense will come around. It's just a matter of when, right? It's like, when is it going to come around? Because I know fans get frustrated, and I understand that. But gosh, man, it would be nice to see one of those young guys step up and say, all right, I'm taking this role. Maybe it is Jackson. Maybe he's the one that steps up and says, you know what? This job is mine. I'm running with it, and nobody can do anything about it.
Here's A.J. Pierzynski. He's with us here on GCR. Agreed wholeheartedly on everything that you just said. And I'll get back to the pitching because you're right. I do think that that's a bit more concerning, but I think it's because of what my expectations for the offense were that I'm so alarmed by it. You brought up Colton Cowser, and A.J., I'm wondering at this point, I know he went through some injuries a year ago, but we got to go all the way back to the first 6 weeks of 2024 to have found that special level of Colton Cowser. He is still probably their best defensive outfielder, but are we at the point now where you're almost 2 years removed? You've got to think about maybe resetting him, that he might just need to go back down and try to dominate for a little while, get his head right offensively, because he really does look lost right now.
Haven't they tried that with? I feel like the Orioles have done that with like every single guy they have in their organization.
Mm-hmm.
How many guys can you reset? At some point, you know, we always joke about this on Foul Territory. At some point, prospects got to turn into suspects, and by suspects, I mean big league players that already contribute at all time. You can't always say, oh, well, we'll just reset him and he'll be fine, right? Like, it doesn't work like that. So, I mean, I don't know, how many guys can you reset? How many guys can you do that to? It's like all these guys, and you look at a Stowers or some of the guys you traded, and they're doing all right. So.
Yep.
I don't know the answer. I wish I had an answer for y'all. I think I still believe in this team. I still think this team is good. Listen, is it a World Series winning team?
No.
The way it's constructed right now, I don't think so. Could they make a couple moves at the trade deadline if they're still in it and be a better suited for a deep playoff run? Absolutely.
Though you bring up the pitching, right? And it was, I think, concerning to a lot of us that the Orioles suggested they needed to upgrade the top of the rotation and then didn't, right? They said, all right, we'll go get the middle of the rotation, Shane Baz and Chris Bassett. Not that I was down on either one of those moves, and certainly not down on extending Shane Baz because it's incredibly favorable money. All of that's well and good, but it put an awful lot of pressure on Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish to be the best versions of themselves. For a few starts, Trevor Rogers looked like that guy. The last couple have not been very good. Bradish has been really shaky to start the season. Did they put too much on the shoulders of those two guys by not going out and getting that top-of-the-rotation pitcher this offseason?
Hasn't that been, I guess other than when they went out and traded for Corbin Burns, hasn't that been the complaint of Orioles fans for the last few years?
Yep.
Exactly what you just said. I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of the thing we always talk about with the Orioles is, when will they make that one move that just completely puts them over the top? And that one move, they tried it the 1 year with Corbin Burns. And listen, they made the playoffs. It didn't work out, right? So when will they try that again? And again, for me, it still comes back to this. Like, you have every year you hear, oh, the Orioles have 1 million prospects, and they have this and they have that. You might have to give up a couple of them to get who you need, like they did with Corbin Burns. Because honestly, look at the Corbin Burns trade. Who did they give up that would be playing right now on the Orioles?
Yeah, I mean, DL Hall could be a bullpen piece, I guess, right?
Okay.
But yes,
Joey Ortiz ain't playing on the Orioles.
Yes, he didn't have
now.
a role, right? Exactly right.
I mean, I think there was another guy. I forget.
No, it was just those two guys. It was those two guys.
Oh, it was just those two. But I mean, listen, Joey Ortiz has been a nice player for the Brewers, but you know, on the Orioles he doesn't fit. So you say, okay, well that eliminates him, and then if you go DL Hall, I mean, could he be a nice bullpen piece? Sure. But, I mean, listen, the Orioles bullpen right now has been pretty darn good with Helsley in the back end and Cano and a bunch of the other guys. So the bullpen hasn't really been the problem. I think, and I'm a big trade your prospects when you have a chance to win guy. And
100%.
That's not the way.
Yeah.
And that's not the way baseball is nowadays. It's like we have surplus value, and how can we trick this team into trading somebody they didn't really want to trade and steal a guy, and it's listen, it's the way the Orioles do it. It's the way Mike Elias has always done it, and it's not going to change. Listen, I love Craig Alvarez as the manager. I think he's awesome, and he's doing everything he can. It's just you got what you got,
right.
And I still, again, I keep going back to this. I still think they're gonna be okay. The thing is, nobody's running away with anything in that division right now. Toronto's playing terrible. Obviously, they're a little bit better, but they're banged up, right? Red Sox are playing awful. The Yankees are probably the one team that's good in that division. The Rays are doing what the Rays always do, but it's not like any team in that division is like, all right, we're the Dodgers. We're 16-5, and you guys are 8-16, and we have a 10-game lead already. It's been very, very even so far, and that's the one thing the Orioles can hang on, hope on to.
AJ, you allude to something, and I hope when you hear this, I'm not suggesting that I think that the Orioles are going to fire Mike Elias, because good Lord, I mean, that's not what I'm saying. But I think there is a question about whether or not there has been too much hubris from this front office about their guys and their system. And as you're kind of alluding to it, what do they really have to show for that right now? And it doesn't take anything. I think Gunnar is obviously, to your point, better than what we've seen to start the season. I think Gunnar is, of course, a hit, and we will be reminded of that as the season goes on. Adley Rutschman, it's been very hit or miss, and of course everybody compares it to the fact that Bobby Witt was the next pick, and Jackson Holiday, it's been a slow start, and these other guys we allude to, Colton Cowser, we haven't seen it. I wonder if there's been a lot of hubris and a lot of faith given to our guys and our ability to draft and develop. When we start looking around, then we start to say, right, but what do you have to show for that?
Well, they have 0 playoff wins.
That's a fact.
I know. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but they have 0 playoff wins. Listen, they've gotten to the playoffs. Remember how bad Baltimore was not that long ago?
100%.
They've gotten to the
right.
playoffs, and they've had some winning years. Is that good enough? Only the owners of the Orioles can answer that question, right? It's been a long time. What was it 2015, 2016? So it took them 7 or 8 years to get back to the Adam Jones, Nick Markakis, whenever they lost to the Blue Jays, the Buck Showalter years, whenever that was, the Manny Machado years, right? So it took them a while to get back to that. But at least they're competitive. At least people were talking. I remember for years you'd go to Baltimore, nobody would even be there. At least people talk about the Orioles, so that's good, right?
I feel like, AJ, I know you don't mean it that way, but it almost feels like one of those really bad, like a little brother sort of thing, like, oh, you guys are doing good.
Well, I don't mean it like that at all.
I know.
I really don't.
I know.
But it's just kind of like, I don't know I wish I had, it's like, I don't know if you're married or not, but sometimes your wife will ask you a question and you don't have an answer and you say, I don't know. And then she looks at you like you're crazy because she wants you to have an answer to something and you don't know anything about it.
Oh,
right. Like that.
If she only asked the questions in a slightly different way, then I'll absolutely have an answer the next time instead of the answer just being, I don't know. Definitely not an issue that I deal with regularly in my marriage at all, AJ. Definitely not the case whatsoever.
Well, so you understand what I'm saying then, right? I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't really have an answer. So the answer is I don't know, and that's never the right answer.
No, I get it.
So
the answer really is you have to let the season play out a little bit more. We're not even a month into the baseball season, and we got to see where we are. But these are questions that we're kind of genuinely asking. You brought up one guy, obviously. We were talking about Jeremiah Jackson. I want to bring up Tavares as well. How real do you think this is, what we're seeing from Jeremiah Jackson? Do you buy in that, this was someone that was incredibly thought of, right? He was Mr. Baseball in Alabama. He was a second-round pick. He was a regarded prospect, and it was in a weird time. The COVID year screwed a lot of things up, and he had dealt with an injury. How real do you feel like this is, what you're seeing from Jeremiah Jackson? And on the same front, Leody Taveras, who, again, was a really highly regarded guy at one point that was kind of cast off and was available for a song in the offseason. They're carrying the Orioles offensively at the moment. How viable is it that the Orioles have really found something in these two guys?
Well, I think Jackson has high upside. I mean, he can run. He's shown some power, which I didn't realize he had the power that he has. And Taveras, sometimes guys mature at different ages. Everybody wants everyone to be oh, he's ready at 19 years old, right? Or 20 years old or whatever that is. Some guys need to get to their mid-20s to be really good. And it takes a little while, and it takes maybe changing teams like he had to do because he had to change some things in his swing or whatever it took, his mentality or his approach or whatever it is. But for Jackson, I mean, I see talent. I mean, he can run, he can hit for power, he plays good defense. What else do you want out of a guy? Especially for a guy that wasn't expecting much. Now, when things change is when expectations hit, right? Meaning you have a really good year, you have a really good month, and then everyone expects you to be able to carry the team. And that's what you don't want. You don't want him to change the way he goes about it. But
right.
I think they both can be real. I mean, that ball Tavares hit last night, that was a bomb. I mean, that was no joke. So listen, I think they can. I think they're going to be okay. Now, if you're the Orioles, are you looking at saying, man, these are the two guys that are going to get us to postseason? Probably not. You're going to need Alonso. You're going to need Gunnar. You're going to need Sam Basayo. You're going to need Adley. You're going to need those guys to step up. But can they carry you for a little bit until those guys get going? Absolutely, and they're proving it.
What are your thoughts on on Craig Counsell screaming about Shohei Ohtani not having to count as a pitcher?
Honestly, I kind of agree with them a little bit. Why did they get a special rule? Listen, I get the rule, why the rule was made, but why did they get a special rule? Why did the Dodgers get an extra player, right? Just because, I mean, I get Shohei's unbelievable and the best player. And if not the best player we've ever seen, he's got to be top 2 or 3, right? Throwing Babe Ruth, throwing Willie Mays, throwing whoever you want to throw.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, by far. But I kind of agree with Craig Counsell. The problem is the rule is designed to make more two-way players, but the problem is nobody can do what Shohei can do, and nobody can get to the innings and all that stuff you have to get the rule to work for anyone but Shohei, especially after they made the rule after Shohei was already in the major leagues, right? So do I understand why MLB did it? Yes. Do I understand why Craig Counsell is bitching and moaning about it? Yes. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about this for a while. Craig Counsell is just kind of the first guy that came out and said the quiet part out loud, and I think that's why people are surprised.
I understand. I still come back to, but like position players are allowed to pitch, like they are, and I know that you don't want them to.
In certain situations.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair too. That is a good point. Like you got to be trailing by a bunch. It's got to be a lopsided game. That is a fair point, and I do think it matters in this conversation. What else is yeah?
Well, here's what matters. Here's what matters is Dodgers get an extra pitcher because of this, right?
Right.
And because there are roster limits on the number of pitchers that you can have on your roster. So what they basically get is they get an extra pitcher, which then allows them to use the 6-man rotation, which they're doing more than any other team, to keep guys also like Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell when he comes back, right? Healthy, and also can use Shohei. They don't have to pitch Shohei every 5th day. They don't have to manipulate the roster. That's where it becomes a bigger deal because if you think about it and you're like, oh, man, if you're the Cubs and you say, Shota Imanaga is a little bit sore, we'd like to give him an extra day.
Yeah.
But if we do that, we have to maybe send somebody down because we don't have enough pitching. The Dodgers can say, well, we have an extra pitcher spot basically on the roster, and why do they get to carry extra player when no one else does?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's a very fair point. It is a very fair point. What else you guys going to be talking about on Foul Territory?
I don't know. Let's see. What really happened last night? I don't know. I mean, there was not a ton. I mean, I'm sure the Mets will come up, but they're awesome.
God, man.
Hey, look, the Orioles could be the Mets right now.
That is a good point. Or frankly, even
11 in a row.
Even the Royals, obviously, have now lost 8 in a row.
Or the Phillies.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the Phillies, too. The Phillies are on the struggle bus also. Royals, wow. I mean, what happened to them? They can't score either. You all think the Orioles can't score. Check out the Royals' offensive numbers. They ain't pretty.
They had 13 base runners against Kyle Bradish in 5 1/3 innings, and they came away with one run. One run.
I saw they had 11 hits in the 9th inning. And when Basayo got the hit, the Orioles had 2 hits, and the Royals had 11 and had 1 run each.
Baseball, man. Baseball's a wild sport.
Crazy.
It's a wild sport.
Crazy. And if you go, it's not the NFL. I know you guys are still reeling from the Ravens sucking, but it's not as easy to just have the reactions that people have in football because it's too much things that have to happen.
It is right. Like I'm here. There's a microphone in front of me, so I have to do it. But I know every time I get going about it, then I immediately have to say, and we gotta wait, and we just have to wait because
Exactly.
It's one effing game. And it is a really long – it's actually one of the things I loved about Jeremiah Jackson when he came away with the big home run in Cleveland. And after the game, he was barely even excited about it because you could just tell this is a ball player. He knows. He knows. Like, this is cool. We got another game to play tomorrow night. That's the way that it works. AJ, really appreciate it, man. Thanks for spending the time with us. Look forward to talking to you again real soon, all right?
No problem, guys. And you know what the Orioles need? Me to pick the uniforms again.
Dude, please, by all means, we'll keep the good vibes going. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, guys.
AJ Pierzynski with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time. And yes, like you could sort of hear in there a lot of what I'm feeling, which is I have some instincts on takes. But much like when you guys all wanted to fire the manager last year, I don't think it's appropriate yet. Now, ultimately, the Orioles decided to agree with you, and they fired the manager. My gut tells me that the wrong guy was getting blamed for what happened to the Orioles. And that doesn't mean that I'm down on Craig Albernaz, that I don't think Craig Albernaz can't be a good manager, that ultimately that might not work out. But this is weird baseball. This is such a long season. And even as I say, I'm worried about some of the decisions that were made. And when I defaulted to, hey, the pitching staff is deep, which, of course, was tested immediately with the injury to Zach Eflin, that the other part that we knew was a problem might prove to be a bigger issue than their overall pitching depth. Like being able to turn to Chris Bassett every fifth day might not be as much of a positive as not having a legitimate stopper is a negative. But it's still too early. That's the reality, man. It is still too early to make any sweeping statement about the baseball team. And again, they win tonight, they're 500. So that's what it is. The timing of this cover story is wild because every day there's more news related to the Preakness and the Pimlico. Go get this print issue of Press Box, which is available for free at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Bill Ordine's cover story about the future of Preakness is there. And if you missed it today, the intellectual property rights to Preakness and Black-Eyed Susan have been sold to Churchill Downs. Now, what does that mean? Because, again, a lot of people that have no idea what they're talking about immediately are like, oh, what, are they moving the Preakness to Churchill Downs? No. No, they're not. And it's still even weirder than that because the way that it's all written is that the state still gets to license the Preakness and Black-Eyed Susan. The state will continue to run the Preakness and the Black-Eyed Susan.
This state?
Yes, Maryland.
Okay.
Maryland will still continue. But it's weirder than that because now, like, the media rights belong to Churchill Downs. It's all very and we're all still trying to figure it out. What it ultimately means, most likely, is probably that it's a next step in separating the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. That, as we talked about last week with Bill Ordine, having like a governor of horse racing or a commissioner of horse racing, perhaps we're a step closer to that. Now, I don't think that New York.
You're throwing your hat in the ring?
No, I'm not. This is not an area
horse
for me.
racing?
Right, Mr. Horse Racing. I don't know if they want to call, we can talk about it. Do I get gym access? Like that, I need to know the important questions. My family's going on a trip this summer. Am I gonna get to take 2 weeks off to go to Africa? Like these are the things I need to know, right?
It'll be after the horse. Yeah, will it be after the horse?
It's after the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
once you get back, then you're
back.
You're grinding.
On the grind. All right, very good. This is a step closer to that, at least aligning 2 of the 3 legs of the Triple Crown. Now, I don't think that New York is going to get on board. I don't think they're suddenly going to say, you go right ahead, Churchill
but they haven't
Downs.
talked to you yet.
That's a great point. We'll see. But it does seem like it's a step towards unifying at least a bit for the benefit of the sport. At least 2 of them. We'll see what happens with the third, which, of course, New York now has a completely different media arrangement with Fox. So I don't know how interested they're going to be in aligning. But no, it does not mean that I told you Preakness was going to move. No. It's just kind of a different operator for the intellectual property, which it's all very strange. These people own the intellectual property, except for one day. Then you're allowed to have the intellectual property and run the race, but we get to market the race. We get to do all it's all weird, man. It's all really weird. But go pick up this print issue of Pressbox at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores and read it all for free at PressBoxOnline.com. Patrick Stevens joins us next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs in the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website CostasInn.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnken. If you've been injured in Maryland, you know you need a great lawyer. Look no further than us, Warnken LLC. You've seen my picture on billboards around town. You've seen me on TV. Now I'm lucky enough to get to be here with Stan. Please give us a call. 443-RESULTS. It is not just a phone number, it's a mission. 443-RESULTS. Or visit us online at warnkenlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. We will get to the Nnamdi Madubuike news, discuss that before today's show wraps up. Also, there's a new-ish edition of Reed and Glenn, new episode available right now where you get your podcasts and youtube.com/@ReedandGlenn, just our draft preview edition of the show. All right, a lot to discuss with our next guest as we go into the final, for most conferences, the final weekend of the regular season in college lacrosse, and some already into the postseason. I know he was out there on Saturday as Hopkins got a big win over Maryland at Homewood Field. You know him from USA Lacrosse Magazine, Raleigh News and Observer as well. He's our friend, Mr. Patrick Stevens. You follow him at Discourse on Twitter and Blue Sky. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, Glenn. How are you?
I'm all right. Statement win for Hopkins, I guess, as we talked about last week. That now means there's no concern whatsoever. They're good, kind of no matter what happens next weekend.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be fine. And I think with one more win, they'll definitely be fine for a home game. They might be fine for a home game regardless in the NCAA tournament. So they get a little bit of time to rest up. That hasn't always been the best thing in the Big Ten over the last few years, but they'll get Ohio State or Michigan a team that'll be playing for its season regardless, whether it's Michigan, which needs to win the whole tournament to make it into the NCAA tournament, or Ohio State, which really does need another high-end victory to make a better case for itself as an at-large. That'll be next Thursday up at Rutgers.
I was looking at your bracketology piece, USA Lacrosse Magazine. What is the reality for Maryland after this? Because they're definitely one of the best teams in the country, but are they definitely in? Is there still a world where they could be at home? Like, what does this mean for them?
Oh, there's definitely a world where they could be at home. And, step one is beat Rutgers this weekend. I think that Maryland, if it wins that game, is going to have a chance to be in the field, even if it loses to Penn State. Note, has a chance. Not definitely will, but will have a chance to. But it's going to be hard to make the argument for the Terps if they drop that game. What I will point out is that there really aren't a ton of serious at-large contenders that are really left. I don't think Duke can make it. I don't think Duke's going to have enough. Even if it does beat North Carolina, that would basically be the entirety of its resume. They'd be 9-4. They would have a victory over Carolina. No complaints about the 4 losses, but they would miss the ACC tournament. And the way the NCAA's strength of schedule calculation works, you really benefit by playing more games so that you cycle out some of the teams at the bottom of your profile, essentially. Like, you basically are averaging the RPIs of the top 10 opponents that you have. And so a Duke that plays 13 games as opposed to 14 or 15 wouldn't be able to cycle out some of those teams that had played early in the season. So, if you take Duke out and you assume that there really isn't enough there, then you're really looking at like 4 Big Ten teams that could plausibly get an at-large, 4 ACC teams, 3, maybe 4 Ivy League teams with Yale, and then Richmond, and that's about it. And so at this stage, Maryland is going to be in the conversation, but at the same time, like you gotta certainly not give the committee a reason to leave you out. So they got to go beat Rutgers. I think if they beat Penn State and make the Big Ten final, there's not going to be a conversation at all. They'll be one of those teams one of those 8 at-large teams, unless they just go win the entire Big Ten tournament. But there definitely is a scenario where Maryland is sitting at home for the tournament for the first time since 2002.
It doesn't matter if they were to lose this week. Does the committee even mention, are we really going to put a 500 team in the tournament, or do you not have that conversation? You simply only look at the body of work and not at all about what the actual record is.
You're looking at the entire body of work, and the truth is there have been 500 teams that have made the tournament, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and maybe as I sit here and look up some stuff here, that if I can give you a more complete answer to that question. But that the qualification is to be 500 or better. So at 6-6, they'd certainly would match that. The problem with that 6-6 is, what do you have in it?
Right.
And you would have a victory over an Ohio State team that's really borderline. You'd have that Virginia victory, which would be really helpful. Frankly, you would rather be, for example, like Penn State and have their kind of profile where they're around 500, but would happen to have, they beat Cornell and they beat Princeton and, they beat Maryland. And so you would rather have that kind of profile overall than the one that Maryland would have if it lost on Saturday.
Can you explain to me how the Patriot League scenarios work out?
Okay. I think I kind of can, but let me get some of my notes up for this one. All right. If you got Army, BU, and Loyola all at 5-2 in the league, if Army wins over Colgate and Boston U loses to Holy Cross, then Army gets the top seed no matter what Loyola does.
Okay.
Probably not going to happen because I don't think Boston U is going to lose to Holy Cross, but it's a scenario. A Loyola victory with an Army loss to Colgate means the Patriot League tournament is at Ridley next weekend, regardless of what Boston University does. And a Boston U victory coupled with a Loyola loss down in Annapolis sends the conference tournament to Boston U. If all three of them win, that actually works in favor of Army, because you're basically they would have split their games with each other. So you're almost basically at that point crediting the team that has the worst loss otherwise in the league. So Army would have a loss to last place Lafayette, while Loyola would have lost to Lehigh and BU would have lost to Colgate. So Army, because it lost to the worst team in the league,
would be benefit.
Wins the tiebreaker further up
because their wins are better, right?
Because their wins are better.
Yeah.
All right. If somehow all three of them lose and create a four-way tie at 5-3 that also includes Colgate, Loyola and Colgate would be 2-1 in that mini group, and Loyola would win the league in the top seed based on the head-to-head victory over Colgate.
God. Oh man, do they call you? Do they just bothered?
No, they did. Although I went through every league, and that was a way to spend my Monday.
It certainly was. That was a way to do it.
And I'll just note since elsewhere in the Patriot League, Navy basically has to win against Loyola to have any chance of making the conference tournament. Needs some help otherwise, but absolutely has to win that game. Otherwise, Bucknell and Lehigh take the last two spots on the field.
All right. Thank you for that arduous explanation. Because I appreciate it, because I asked some other folks last week, and I basically got back, we're gonna have to wait and figure that out.
And at that time, that made a lot of sense. Quite
sure did. I think what we would say about the Patriot League, however, based on the results of the last couple of weeks, is that Army has, despite their couple of hiccups, they have definitively proven themselves to be the team to beat. To me, no matter where the Patriot League tournament ends up being, they look like, again, the best team, and they certainly have had the best wins in the Patriot League this season.
Yeah, I think that matches up with what most people would have thought coming into the season as well. That Army and BU would probably be two teams that you had to answer for. And regardless, by the way, especially if Loyola wins on Friday night down in Annapolis, you got to give them a lot of credit for the bounce back season that they've enjoyed, given what they went through a season ago. So, even if Loyola is not the number one seed, it still has a chance, as heading into its regular season finale, to win a slice of a conference title.
Yep.
So that's pretty darn good.
Yep, no doubt about it. Patrick Stevens is with us here on GCR. To your point, Patrick, about what you just brought up, is there anything else that's particularly significant, particularly still on the radar as we come down to the end of the regular season and move towards the conference tournaments?
It's actually kind of a relatively tame weekend. You do have those two Big Ten quarterfinals this week, Ohio State hosting Michigan, Maryland getting Rutgers, and two teams that obviously have to win those games at home to be able to keep things alive, particularly Ohio State. And then, Michigan and Rutgers are two teams that have to win the conference tournament to make it all the way in. A couple games worth noting this weekend. Richmond has High Point on the road on Friday night, and I think if Richmond gets that game, you can go ahead and slot them into the category of teams that it doesn't matter what they do next weekend. They're absolutely 100% going to be in the field. The other game that I think determines one of those slots, Harvard goes to Cornell. I think the winner of that game is going to be in really, really strong shape heading into their conference tournaments. And it's still to be determined where that Ivy League tournament is going to be played, whether it's at Cornell or whether it's at Princeton. So Cornell has a home field advantage to play for as well. Also worth noting, Towson now locked into the top seed in the CAA tournament.
Yep.
So they will go ahead and host that conference tournament for the third year in a row as they look to head back to the NCAA tournament. They've now won 23 consecutive games against conference opponents.
Patrick, we talked last week about the first couple of names that Maryland had added in the transfer portal. Since that time, the biggest name that they've added in the portal, of course, is DJ Wagner. I guess my question, however, is what is DJ Wagner? Like, how significant of an addition really is this for someone that's kind of struggled to find his footing during his collegiate career?
All right, so there's two ways that you can look at DJ Wagner. You can look at DJ Wagner as a guy that over his 3 seasons, all in the SEC, all playing for John Calipari, has averaged about 9.5 points a game, got a little bit better as a three-point shooter last season, didn't play as much for Arkansas last year. So if that's what you're looking at, you can sit there and reasonably say that Maryland's going to add a guy that will probably average, 8 to 10 points a game, maybe a little bit more. And that's helpful, but isn't necessarily something that is going to completely alter the trajectory of their season. If you look at him and say, oh my gosh, this guy was once ranked 6th in the country, according to all these recruiting people, well, there's 3 years worth of evidence to suggest that he's not the 6th best player in the country. So, if you're looking at it as this is a helpful piece, sure. If you're thinking that this is going to be the guy that's going to carry you to the promised land, probably not. And I will say there is one number that just absolutely stands out, and it doesn't really matter, I don't think, for this Maryland team because of how much rebounding they're going to get elsewhere. But DJ Wagner had 0 offensive rebounds in 826 minutes last year.
That is almost impossible.
I mean, especially for a guy. I mean, if he simply had been standing out on the 3-point line, okay, that becomes at least sort of plausible. But only about half of his shots were from the outside. So that's just one of those weird numbers that jumps out at you. But heck, if you're a team like Maryland that's going to have a whole bunch of offensive rebounding, by design in the post, maybe this is an ideal fit for a guy that has not shown much of a penchant for that to this point.
If this is about it, and obviously Miles Rice made his departure official, if this is about what they're going to do, is there an NCAA tournament roster to be found among this group?
I mean, they obviously still probably have a little bit more work to do, right?
It feels like they're running out of spots unless there's more guys going away.
I mean, you've got guys graduating too, so there's a little bit of that. But I am not overly bullish on this. I think this team is going to be better, and I've kind of over the last week probably become a little more bullish on what Bishop Boswell can do. I mean, I think that he could be a useful starting guard, and certainly there's no doubt that a guy like Tomislav Buljan is going to help them. But I don't know that this is a team that is going to be a top half of the Big Ten team. I certainly wouldn't be terribly confident that it's a team that's got a multiple weekend run in them in the NCAA tournament. At best, could it be a team that slugs it out and plays some low-scoring games and figures out a way to win games that it had basically no chance of winning last year if they stay healthy and they catch some breaks? Sure, but I don't know that this is going to be a team that people are going to be overly excited about as the season begins. They're certainly going to have to go out and prove it early on, which I think is perfectly reasonable given the product that Maryland provided last season.
Yeah, I mean, right. If you want to say, like, if you reset the deck and the bar is what they did a year ago, then, yeah, that's a step up, right? But the problem being it required you to reset the deck in order for that to be the case.
Yeah, I think they'll be better, but, like, massively better, hard to say at this point. But I would not – I certainly wouldn't be sitting here trying to look at what the flight schedules are to whatever the first weekend sites are in the NCAA tournament next year. This is a group that's going to have to go prove it.
I know Zion Stanford didn't really play at Villanova much last season, but he was a pretty helpful piece at Temple before that. Mm-hmm. That seems like a good addition for Towson, correct?
Yeah, I thought that was a good pickup for Pat Scarry and company. And you go back and you look at what he did at Temple 2 years ago, averaged 13 a game, okay 3-point shooter around 35%, and not necessarily high volume on that front. and a guy that, at 6'5", who averaged close to 5 rebounds a game. So that sounds like that fits in pretty well too. So this is the kind of thing, kind of a, off of a, sort of a rebound type guy who did not play a ton for Kevin Willard at Villanova last year, averaged 5 points a game in 10 games. And so I think that's a solid pickup for Towson, and a guy that you can probably pencil in as a double-digit scorer for the Tigers if he stays healthy next year.
Let's play our game. Can Patrick Stevens name the MLB teams for these particular players and or managers? And I'll combine a player-manager for the first one because I meant to do it last week after he sadly passed away and I screwed up.
By the way, we did not mention Jim Ferry's contract extension.
Oh, thank you. That's a great point. That was very good news, obviously, for UMBC.
So that was
yes.
I thought, really important for UMBC to get
no
that
doubt
thing
about
situated. Even if, a lot of the stars of that team have either graduated or are out of eligibility or have jumped into the portal, whether that's Jalakai King or Ace Valentine or Caden Dix.
That's a great point. He's proven that he's got something that works and sort of an eye for that lower level talent that could impact. And, I completely agree. That's very good news for UMBC, and they got that done, the extension for Jim Ferry. All right, we'll start combining 4 teams as a player where he was a 4-time All-Star with one team as a manager. The late Davey Lopes is the first name up this week.
All right, well, Davey Lopes definitely was an L.A. Dodger.
Certainly was.
And he was a Oakland Athletic,
He
right?
certainly was.
And a Cub.
Yep.
And a Houston Astro.
Most certainly.
And managed Milwaukee.
There you go, 5 for 5 on Davey Lopes. So I don't feel so bad about what I'm about to do to you because, my God, he was an all-star once and he was a reliever. Godspeed to you, my friend. 8 teams. And I think I told you that I would get to this name at some point, and I think maybe you might do better than I realize. Heathcliff Slocum is the name.
Heathcliff Slocum. All right, the Chicago Cub.
Most certainly.
He was a Cleveland Indian very briefly.
He was a Cleveland Indian for, do you know how many appearances?
Like 3, maybe?
It was actually 20, believe it or not.
Okay. He was an all-star with the Phillies in 1995.
Most certainly was. Remember that well.
All right. He was a Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
He was a Seattle Mariner.
I remembered that one well. I got that one too.
Okay. So we have 3 spots left for
3 spots left.
He was in San Diego, correct?
He was in San Diego for 22 appearances.
How about St. Louis?
St. Louis. Oh, if you go 8 for 8.
Was he not an Oriole?
He was an Oriole for 10 games, and I have completely forgotten that ever happened. I had completely forgotten that in 1999, Heathcliff Slocum made 10 appearances as a Baltimore Oriole. You son of a bitch. I can't believe that you just went 8 for 8 on Heathcliff Slocum. That's unreal. Maybe we retire the game.
Maybe this is a good offer.
Yep. Maybe it's done forever. College Park on Saturday.
College Park on Saturday. Also catch Towson earlier. They play Hofstra in their regular season finale.
And Annapolis maybe on Friday.
And going to go to Annapolis on Friday to see Loyola and Navy. It's like I said, it's not the best, most impactful weekend all around as we kind of set things up for the conference tournaments next week. But certainly for Maryland, that's a game that's either a result that's not terribly interesting or it's extremely interesting.
That's a great point.
And Maryland very much wants it to be a not very interesting result.
At Discourse, D1S Course is how you follow him. We'll link up his bracketology from USA Lacrosse Magazine as well on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio. Appreciate you, sir. Let's talk again next week.
Awesome, Glenn. Take care.
That's Patrick Stevens with us, as he is every week here on GCR talking college sports. Yeah, I had somebody ask me that yesterday, does this look like a tournament team to you? I think I said yesterday it looks like a team that, if things go right, they're a bubble team. And, to me, if things go right includes, Baba's got to be really good. All of these pieces in and of themselves are fine. I think, as Patrick mentioned, like maybe Bishop Boswell, perhaps I wasn't giving him quite enough credit. And you like the foundation of what you saw from Andre Mills as the season went on, and presuming you get Pharrell Payne back. A lot of the, according to Jeff Erman of Inside MD Sports, that's it. Their roster is full. 15 scholarship spots are full, provided that Pharrell Payne gets the waiver and is able to play next season. And again, provided that Raquise Passmore was being honest that he's not transferring. And I mean, I guess there could be an awkward thing where he didn't intend to transfer, but maybe somebody else intended for him to transfer. There could be some awkwardness there. But as of the moment, there's 15 scholarships and 15 guys for those scholarships if Pharrell Payne sticks around. And so this was from Nolan Rogalski of Testudo Times. He tried to put together a depth chart based on those 15 guys, and he had Wagner, Mills, Baba. How are we saying Tomislav's last name? You told me yesterday.
Bullion.
Yeah. Bullion. You're confident about this?
I'm pretty confident. Yeah.
This is not one of those times
where
I
watched a lot of Lobos basketball. Those late night games.
Bullion and Payne.
I didn't watch a lot, but I watched enough.
With then House, Boswell, Brown. I don't know how to pronounce Adama Tambadou. We have not. I got nothing on that. And Robert Jennings, and then
Robert Jennings, yes.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you confirming that. It's dynamite stuff. That's why
I believe Robert Jennings the second.
Thank you. That's why you're the best NFL reporter there is, because you are right there to confirm someone else's report. Right there. As soon as someone else reports it, you're going to confirm it, which is what we appreciate. I appreciate about you. And then Michael McNair, most recent acquisition out of the transfer portal from BU, where he was a heck of a three-point shooter, goes into that mix as well. I just look at it and I say, I still think things need to go right. I think there's a foundation that you can win some more games with Pharrell Payne and Andre Mills together, and if Baba is legit, I think you're going to win some more games. But competing to be in the top end of the Big Ten, it would have to require a lot. That would have to require to me a version of DJ Wagner that we haven't seen for 3 years in college. And DJ Wagner being more of a player than he is a name. That would have to involve an evolution in someone's game that, as it turns out, Bullion can shoot the three. He just didn't want to. Something, to me, it would require something like that for this to be a legitimate team. But, the 68-team tournament, could they be in the conversation towards the back end of that? Could they be a Dayton type of team? Maybe. It's not an inspiring group, but if you're just looking for progress, I think I agree with Patrick that the bar is so low that it's really hard to not have progress.
We'll be watching more games next year. That's the...
Yeah, I don't think we'll have quit completely by January 1st.
You mean December 1st?
Yeah. I mean, basically Vegas, right? I think Vegas was about when we kind of tapped out last year. I tried to think if there was any game that we even bothered to watch just because the game was interesting in December.
They played Virginia.
Yeah, they did play Virginia.
I feel like that was the last time I was watching where I was like, oh, yeah, that was a good play there by
we
did.
For whatever reason, we were all watching the Michigan game when they were leading, right? And we were
right.
I don't know why. I think it was...
they didn't get, blitzed off the court.
It was a Saturday night. And,
that was after the Army-Navy game, right? That was
Is that when it was?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, maybe that's
I think it was that. And then the next week was the Virginia game.
Yeah.
And it was kind of
by that
maybe
point,
there's something.
Yeah, by that point we were done ski. We were done ski. We'll see. It's also very early, and again, who knows? It might very well be that everybody's bought in, and a little bit more time. I don't know. There are still a lot of complaints about the fact that there's just not a whole lot of local on this roster.
Baba.
There's Baba.
It's enough.
It's
more than last year.
To be fair, it is one more than last year.
Exponentially more.
It is one more. One is greater than 0. You are right about that. But a lot of complaints about that. And, again, the difficulty to connect with this group because there's so little local involved. I understand that. I do. I understand that feeling. Uniquely, this was not like a great year for, like, Baltimore recruits. I don't think you were getting B.J. Ranson. I think he was going with it, unless you were hiring his dad. I don't think that was going to be the case. So it's not like, to me, at the moment, it doesn't seem like there was a huge recruiting miss in Baltimore, but that doesn't mean that one of these kids isn't going to prove to be a really good player. I mean, like, that's absolutely possible, but this was not a highly regarded recruiting class this year out of this city. I don't pay quite as much attention to what the misses might have been in D.C. And again, Bobble was the one. They got him. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. They are where they are. They can't go back and redo last year. So if they were to be a fringe tournament team and at least make the games relevant, that would be progress. And you could sell yourself on, well, maybe the next year could be better than that. But, God, it definitely feels like you heard the same thing I heard in the way A.J. Pierzynski was talking about. You were like, well, they made the playoffs. Like, it definitely felt very.
He's had 2 good years.
Like, it definitely felt very like, you're adorable, sport. Like, and I know he wasn't trying. It's that awkward thing where we are all. What I brought up about Mike Elias is real, but it's not me saying you have to fire Mike Elias because that would be insane today. Today, that would be insane. Why would you do that? It's like firing your manager 40 games into a season and thinking that it's going to get better, thinking that it's going to change something. But we're going to monitor that stuff, and if you get to the end of the year and we are still feeling like Kobe Mayo and Colton Cowser and Dylan Beavers are meh at most. Right now, I think we feel meh about those guys. I think, truthfully, it's less than meh. And if Adley Rutschman, if what we saw for the first couple of weeks isn't really the story on Adley Rutschman, and he comes back and he looks like he did last year, and Jackson Holiday doesn't come back and elevate himself to if this group of guys is as meh to bad as they are, then we're going to have a deep conversation about there's been an awful lot of hubris here, but what is there to show for it? There's been an awful lot of running the guys out that were here beforehand, and I'm not trying to pretend. Obviously, we all know Santander's hurt. Cedric Mullins has not lit the world on fire. Austin Hayes has been okay. Like, I'm not trying to oversell that group.
But how much do you look at it and you're like, well, that team won 101 games?
There's absolutely that feeling of you move those guys out for your guys. And what is there to show for your guys? Today, you don't feel great about it. As I keep saying, it's a marathon, the whole thing. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, blah, 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 blah. We might feel completely different about it by the time we get to the end of the season. But we're going to need to, or else we have to have that conversation. Because it's one thing to have the conversation about pitching, right? Like, it's been dreck. Part because they just don't do it. They just don't draft and develop pitching. Which means you better have a murderer's row to show for all of the efforts that you've put in to drafting and developing bats. Because you've got 0 on the other side. And it's not just that there isn't a murderer's row, it's that there isn't an M. There's, we believe, Gunnar Henderson. And again, I can't change the fact that he's hitting 196, although I know that everybody's going to keep baseball people are going to say, stop looking at batting averages. Nobody cares about batting averages.
Well, 196 not good.
Uniquely. If he was hitting 240, I wouldn't feel that way. He's hitting 196. Yes, big news today. We think. We've had rumblings, and there have been droppings about Nnamdi Madubuike over the course of the last couple of months. Today, probably the most definitive report yet, as Adam Schefter this morning, just ahead of the NFL draft, reports that Nnamdi Madubuike, it looks like he's good to go. A boost for Baltimore during draft week. Ravens defensive tackle Nnamdi Madubuike, who suffered a season-ending and career-threatening neck injury in Week 2 last season, underwent neck surgery last week that left his doctors believing he will be able to resume playing this season per sources. And I know that there have been lots of people on the internet like, he had the neck surgery last week? Like, why didn't he have it before that? Well, again, I don't, and I'm sure a smarter medical person than I know that's hard to believe. I know you're thinking to yourself, smarter medical person than you? Yes, I'm told they might exist. Would explain why that might be the case. And the wording of this would suggest that that surgery would not prevent him, the timing of the surgery would not prevent him from being able to play. Considering, again, it says he will be able to resume playing this season. Now, does it jeopardize his training? I don't know. There's still a lot more questions that would need to be answered, and I don't know what the Ravens' willingness is going to be. Like, we're going to hear from the Ravens this week. They're going to hold press conferences during the course of the draft. Will Eric DaCosta, now that there's been reporting, answer a question, or will he continue to say, guys, I know that's out there, but we got to continue to respect Nnamdi in this process, and there's some HIPAA stuff involved. Like, I don't know that we're going to get anything more definitive about it. This certainly suggests Adam Schefter is not making something up. We'll take this and say this means the Ravens are operating under the plans that Nnamdi Madubuike is going to play. Which, again, might have been a factor in whether or not they were interested in Dexter Lawrence. For what it's worth, they had the 14th pick. The Bengals had the 10th. So,
Yeah, but John Harbaugh might have thrown us a bone.
Sure. Even if they were, they probably weren't going to get him. I mean, unless they wanted to offer more. And boy, imagine offering a first-round pick plus for a defensive tackle. That is bold. But not that there was really a defensive tackle that I think is in the conversation at 14. I know our friend Daniel Kelly is bullish about Caleb Banks, but it still doesn't seem like 14 is realistic for that. It seems like that's more like, well, if you were to move back, you could do that. But, second round, third round, did they need to address defensive tackle? This probably quiets that conversation a little bit. If that doesn't mean that they won't. If there's a guy there, I don't know if you heard, the Ravens have a thing for defensive tackles in their history. They've loved drafting that position. But Reed and I did this on this week's episode of the show. What's a need versus an area you think they could still upgrade? Right now, I think they have one true need. They need, in the first 3 rounds, to have drafted an interior offensive lineman that can help them. And by help, even if that's just they drafted a center in the 3rd round that they don't know is their starter, but worst case, they believe pushes Corey Bullock to the point where if Corey Bullock wins the job, it will have been genuine and he will have deserved to be the starter and not just defaulted into the job because he's the only guy there. Between Thursday and Friday, they have an interior O-line need, which doesn't mean they have to draft O-line with their first pick. I know that's what we all think they're going to do, but it doesn't mean they have to. It means they have to by Friday night. They cannot win a Super Bowl with these options. I say that, then we're going to find out that Corey Bullock's the greatest center of all time, and I'm going to look back at this and say, what an idiot I am.
Well, happy to be wrong about that.
Right?
Yeah.
To me, that's the only need. Everything else is I'd like them to upgrade wide receiver. I'd like them to upgrade another edge rusher.
Maybe
I'd
it's
like
just because
them,
of how bad last year was, but I feel like guard is a need as well.
But interior offensive line is a need. That's what interior offensive line.
Well, okay, I thought you were saying center. And
I'm saying that worst case scenario is it's just a center.
Yeah.
To me, it's worst case scenario. They come out of the first 3 rounds of the draft and they took one offensive lineman and it was a center, right? That's worst case. But they have to. They have to at least do that. They cannot get to Saturday morning have not drafted an offensive lineman. They are not good enough. We all think they're going to go first round. But whether that's just definitively drafting a left guard or whether they believe, hey, if we get, if we end up taking Delane, for example, in round 1 because he's there and we're enamored with him and we're going to take, if we think we can get the 8th best player with the 14th pick, we're doing that. If that's the route that they go, they better come away with a football player at guard or center in rounds 2 and 3. Not a project, someone that they, despite where they're drafted, and that's why I default to center is because everybody believes that like the 2nd and 3rd round centers are all guys that can play immediately on day 1. And some of those guards almost certainly can too. They have to. No question. They have to. Period. If Nnamdi Madubuike was done, I would think they would have to draft another defensive lineman early. If they're confident he's back, I don't think they have a need there. And I would be more inclined to look at edge and even maybe still inside linebacker, right? Like Rodriguez, somebody along those lines. Who's the guy from Texas that I know Daniel Kelly was enamored with? And I've already forgotten what his name is. Christ.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I got to do this on the radio. I got to do this on Thursday night. I better step up my game. I better be a little bit more.
Anthony Hill.
Thank you, Anthony
Hill Jr. Good player.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. We know that because we definitely knew his name. Saw a little bit yesterday about if the Patriots acquire A.J. Brown, and the word is they're going to, that maybe they would be willing to consider trading Kayshon Boutte, and I was like, that seems like the perfect type of player for the Ravens to be looking at. But I just don't know if the Patriots would be willing to make a trade with a team that they think they might be competing against to win the AFC. I don't know. I think the Ravens need one more wide receiver along with the top 3 they have at the moment. I don't think it has to be a first-rounder. I don't think that it has to be a number 1 wide receiver. I think they need one more wide receiver to go with. It might be that Tez Walker really is ready to step up and be like this team's number 3 primary wide receiver. But then they need a number 4. Like I just think they need a 4th guy in that group that you have an amount of confidence in. So that's something that I think they need to do somehow, but I don't know that it necessarily has to be draft. I'd like them to, but I don't know if it's need. Good news. Good news about Nnamdi Madubuike. No way around it. We'll come back in. We'll get a tidbit. We'll get tubular. We'll wind things down. Rough night for Team Norfolk at trivia last night. I know all of you. Rough night. Rough night.
Sorry.
Today's show also brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. If you miss Stan, Ross, and Luke, they get together every Monday. It's brought to you by Warnken Law, as well as the Costa Sin with those 2 great locations. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video.
This is Stan the Fan. You know we talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website costasin.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bill Ordine dives in on how different Preakness will be temporarily at Laurel Park and then long-term once it returns to Pimlico. Also inside, Luke Jackson learns more about what Trey Hendrickson will bring to the Ravens. And Karuga Koinange looks at how Samuel Basayo is influencing the Orioles' international signing efforts. Press Box is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR and winding it down for a Tuesday edition of the program. Yeah, took it on the chin last night. The final, this bird is the official state bird in 5 different states, but surprisingly not Alabama.
This bird is the official bird.
The official state bird of 5 different states, but surprisingly not Alabama.
So surprisingly not Alabama. What is an Alabama bird? So what? Why would I think that it would be the official bird of Alabama, but it's not?
That was what we were working with.
I'll go with the pelican.
The pelican. What's the relation to Alabama?
I don't know. Louisiana's close to it, and they're the New Orleans Pelicans.
It just so happens
it might also be like South Carolina,
we
like
have
East Coast
an Alabama
states.
alum on our team, so thought we had an advantage there, and he immediately said, "Could it be the Yellowhammer?" Because of course, Rammer Jammer Yellowhammer, give them hell, Alabama. Everybody knows that, which they do at the end of every. Do you really? Have you never heard them do that?
I've never heard of that. That is
the end of every game they win.
Football, basketball, like all the sports.
I think they do it for all the sports, but I know they do it for football. And it's always a scene at the end of a football game. Like it's a big. They're like, "Hey, Auburn! Hey, Auburn! We just beat the hell out of you. Rammer, Jammer, Yellowhammer, give them hell, Alabama." That's the thing they do. That's their thing.
So you went to Alabama, all right.
I did not go to Alabama. My cousin's kid went to Alabama, and so he brought it up. And I was like, you know what? That's a great guess. But then I immediately said, but are there really 5 states that have the Yellowhammer as their official state bird? Like, really? Well, it turns out there's only one state that has the Yellowhammer as its official state bird, and that state would be Alabama.
Okay.
Alabama.
So no other state would have the is that what you guys guessed?
That is what we guessed.
I'll stick with pelican.
Yeah, it was not a pelican, and as it turns out, the answer makes a lot of sense.
Is it a robin?
We didn't think about it. The answer is the mockingbird, because the book To Kill a Mockingbird was, of course, set in Alabama.
Okay, sure.
On this date in 1985, who set the record for the most points in an NBA playoff game with 63? 2-point bonus for the team he set the record against.
Oh, against? I think it was MJ.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. No, because they beat up on him pretty good. I was going to say Detroit, but no, they were beating him pretty good. They had his number in the 80s. I'll go with the New York Knickerbockers.
It's really funny because I was between New York and Boston. First of all, I immediately said MJ. Then I talked myself out. I'm like, was he in the playoffs in his second year in the NBA? Like, I had this like weird.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, yes. It was MJ.
It is MJ. 100%. It's Michael Jordan. But I nearly talked myself out of it. And then I was between New York and Boston because I remembered he had a famous game at Madison Square Garden. But then I thought I was like, the Knicks weren't very good back then. The Celtics were really good.
Yeah. But that's why I would think it would be the Knicks snuck in, and I'm sticking with the Knicks. It was not the Knicks.
It was the Celtics.
Darn.
Thankfully, we did get that
I
right.
went the
We did get that one right. And then this one was, hang on a second. Oh, for God's sakes, why does Facebook want to ruin everything? I just want to be able to pull up my damn messages because I stored it in there. God damn it. I'm so sick of everything. This and the Twitter search function. Between this and the Twitter search function, which is complete shit. I mean,
it's really annoying to me because I like to use clips that I find on Twitter for the stuff that I do.
Or for example, like when Zion Stanford commits to Towson, I just want to search Zion Stanford to find like some interesting videos about him or notes about him. And if you search Zion Stanford, instead you get
something about Stanford.
No, 100 posts about other like basketball players.
Zionism probably pops up.
Like nothing that has anything to do with Zion Stanford. It's just such a shit function now. Who co-founded Microsoft with Bill Gates in 1975, and bonus points for the NBA franchise he purchased in 1988. This one was easy.
Steve Ballmer.
Steve Ballmer did not.
I don't think so.
No, he did purchase an NBA franchise, but much later than 1988.
He co-founded Microsoft.
Co-founded Microsoft.
Bought a team in the. I'm not gonna get this. I guess I should know. Steve Jobs didn't partner with Bill Gates. No.
At one point, I believe Bill Gates did bail out Steve Jobs when Apple was going under, if I remember correctly. The Steve Jobs went to Bill Gates asking for a favor, but no, they were not partners. The answer, he also bought an NFL team.
Jerry Jones, I don't know.
Passed away a few years ago. Paul Allen. Paul Allen, who was the owner of the Seattle Seahawks, but he was not the owner of the Seattle Supersonics, which is what everybody guessed. He was the owner of the Portland Trailblazers. So we got that one as well.
Look at you. But you still lost?
We still lost because we didn't know our state birds. We really asked the bed.
The other teams?
A couple of them. Enough did that figured it out based on the
and then they started like mocking you.
Yeah, you got it. Look, man, when we lose, it's a big night at trivia if we don't win.
Oh.
All right. Tidbit is brought to you today by County Sports Zone. Everything you need to know about high school sports. Today is Spalding Boys Latin lacrosse, if I remember correctly. And I want to say Spalding Calvert Hall is coming up this week, which is the big one, the A conference. Everything you need to know, you can find out. CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
Leody Taveras from Sarah Langs, the 12th inning grand slam, second latest grand slam in an Orioles game by an Oriole.
I think it was the last one. Was the last time there was an extra inning grand slam? Was that Pedro Alvarez?
It was, in fact.
Yeah.
Pedro Alvarez in the 14th inning
against the Yankees.
Yeah, against the Yankees on April 6th,
Look,
2018.
man, I think I just saw people tweeting about it last night. It's not something that I just had filed away.
How about the rest of the lineup? April 6th, 2018.
By the way, it is Boys Latin today, and Spalding at Calvert Hall Friday night at 7 o'clock. That will be a big one. All right, 2018 Orioles. Trey Mancini's in the lineup for sure.
He was where in the lineup?
He was in right field.
No, he was in left.
He was in left field.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I thought.
Where was he in the lineup?
He was fourth.
No.
Third.
No.
Fifth.
No.
Sixth.
No.
Seventh.
It might be the last one you guessed.
Second.
No.
Eighth.
Which one was it?
He led off?
He led off the game.
Why would he be doing that?
I don't know. He got walked twice. He went 0 for 5 with 2 walks and scored a run.
That seems like a mistake.
Trey Mancini leading off against the Yankees
right.
early on.
Adam was in center.
He was.
Wait, what part of the year was this?
This was April 6th.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Adam was in center. Well, Adam was on the team the whole season. Yeah.
1 for 7 in the game.
And he was batting second?
No.
Third?
No.
Fourth?
There you go.
That was my third guess. Manny
was in the lineup.
He was playing short?
He was playing short, yes.
Yeah, and he was batting third.
No.
Second.
There you go.
All right.
2 home runs in the game. I think he led off the game, or he had a first inning home run, I think.
He's only got 2 home runs this season. How about...
At this point, yeah, as well. He only had 2 home runs in the 2018 season.
How about Chris Davis?
He was in the lineup, yes.
He was playing first base.
He was.
He was batting third.
No.
He was batting fifth.
No.
Sixth.
There you go.
All right. That's because John Scope was in the lineup.
He was.
He was batting third.
He was.
Get there eventually.
And obviously playing
second base.
Yes.
Mark Trumbo?
No Mark Trumbo.
Okay.
Trumbo Jumbo, not in the lineup, didn't come off the bench. Was he not on the team?
Third base.
Was he on the yeah, he was an 18 Oriole. Yeah.
Trumbo was 18, yeah.
He was not. He did not play at all in this game.
Third base was Pedro Alvarez.
It was not. Pedro Alvarez is not in the starting lineup.
He was a pinch hitter?
Yeah. Pinch hit later and then stayed in.
He wasn't really playing third base at that point in his career.
No. He pinch hit to DH. He pinch hit for the DH and then stayed in the game.
Was
to keep
the
DH.
third baseman Beckham?
It was Tim Beckham.
Really? And he was hot, remember, at the start of the 18th season.
Apparently not. He was batting. He went 0 for 6 in this game. He was batting 150 after. I mean, this was only
17 when he was hot then? What was the season where he was hot?
17. Yeah, I think it was 17 where he came over and was just ripping it.
He was third base and he was batting 7th?
Yes.
Okay. So I need a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
The catcher would be Wieters was gone. Wieters was gone, right?
No, not Wieters. Was Wieters gone or
he was just hurt?
He wasn't playing. When did Wieters leave?
Yeah, I can't think about it. I can't even think of how Wieters left, right? Like that's the crazy part.
Or maybe.
That's really wild. And all of a sudden, I can't even think of how, when, or why Matt Wieters was not an Oriole anymore. The hell? I'm getting old. We're also getting further removed, and things aren't stored in my memory the same way. So was it Caleb Joseph?
He left after the 2016 season. He was with yes, it was Caleb Joseph.
Oh, okay.
He left after the 2016, so 2017 is with the Nats.
He was batting 8th?
Yeah, I know.
9th.
9th.
And so I need a right fielder.
Who was the right fielder?
I need a right fielder.
Right fielder and a designated hitter.
Right fielder and a DH. Lord, from this group. Wilson Bed. No, that's not Wilson Bedham. Time.
But he would have probably played third base if he was in the.
Would have probably played third base.
If he was in the. Yeah, he definitely would have played third base if he was in the. I guess maybe.
Was it Rio Ruiz?
It was not Rio Ruiz.
Was it Renato Nunez?
It was not Renato.
Who I've made into one guy over the years.
Renato Ruiz.
Yeah.
Rio Nunez.
Third base.
This was his last pro season. Or at least last MLB season, I guess I should say.
Danny Valencia.
Second stint with the O's.
The only reason I remember, we had him on he was playing for like one of the Hagerstown or one of those teams a couple years ago, and we had him on. He was batting 5th.
He was.
Jesus.
He was DHing. He went 0 for 4, and then he got pinch hit for, I guess, in like the 9th inning or something.
One day you're going to make me remember Weston
Pedro
Wilson
Alvarez.
played left field for the Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Like one day that's going to come up.
You're not going to remember Jonathan Rodriguez, though.
And then the right fielder was...
This must
fielder
have been,
was Austin Hayes?
No.
The right fielder was...
But you're warm with that guess.
Santander?
It was. Anthony Santander.
He was batting 8th.
He was.
Danny Valencia was batting
Orioles.
5th. How about that?
Orioles got 5 innings out of...
Oh, Christ. They got 5 innings out of... A Cashner? Who were the pitching acquisitions in 2018?
He was a guy that ended up getting
Cobb?
dealt. He was a guy that we dealt at the deadline this year.
Deadline that year. Would that have been the year they traded Bundy or Gosman?
Gosman. Yes.
Okay.
Kevin Gosman got 5 innings from Kevin Gosman. Miguel Castro went 2 1/3 in relief, but gave up the tying home run.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because Pedro Alvarez was the hero. Yeah, big win.
Yep.
All right, very good. Let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
By the way, Brian Powell wanted us to know yesterday when we were going over the things we just do for Brian Powell, apparently, that to add to his randomness, he's also a San Antonio Spurs fan.
What?
But he says that's because of when David Robinson was a Spur, because of Navy. But that's also weird, too, because he's a Duke basketball fan more than he's a Navy basketball fan. So I don't riddle wrapped in a conundrum wrapped in a. I mean, it's just you'll never be able to figure it out. And Brian, I did not chime in on how he feels about the Evil Empire colors versus the vibrant Wemby era color scheme related to the Spurs. I prefer the Evil Empire color scheme for the Spurs myself. And F them, because I'll never forgive Cheap Shot Bob for what he did to the Suns. Now, all that being said, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. By the way, it was a wild night in the NBA playoffs last night, right? Like the Hawks winning in New York.
Yeah. New York just stinks.
Timberwolves-Nuggets was always, I think, going to be probably the best series
like
of the first round.
Like a second-round series.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, that always seemed like it was going to be a really good one. Tonight, Orioles-Royals game 2, 7:40 on Masson, Shane Boz, and it's Bubic or Bubic.
It's Bubic.
Maybe it's Bubic. We don't see these teams enough for me to get to the bottom of that. Get right on that.
I'll let you know tomorrow morning.
Thank you. That's going to help me. Lacrosse tonight. Stevenson hosts Messiah at 7 on MAC TV. Salisbury's got Baldwin Wallace this afternoon at 4. Maryland baseball at Mount St. Mary's. You doing that one?
I am on that one. Yeah.
You're on that one. 3 o'clock today on ESPN Plus.
Yep. See you there.
NBA playoffs tonight. NBCSN Sixers Celtics game 2 at 7. NBC's got Blazers Spurs game 2 at 8. Rockets Lakers game 2 at 10:30. And NHL playoffs tonight, or Stanley Cup playoffs. Is it Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup playoff officially? Like, which one is it?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either. And is it finals or final? I always have those questions. ESPN 2 Canadiens Lightning. It's game 2 at 7. Mammoth Golden Knights game 2 at 9:30. ESPN Bruins Sabres game 2 at 7:30. Kings Avalanche game 2 at 10. Everything else, GlennClarkRadio.com. Non-sports.
We'll go, big one, obviously. I'm sure you're excited. Season 4 on Fox tonight at 8. Farmer Wants a Wife. We're already on season 4.
Me.
Can you believe it?
Now, I don't know. Well, I understand the plot, though, from having not watched
seasons 1 through 3. I think you should be able to jump right in. I think they keep up. I think they throw back to.
I have someone
in
seasons. My life who is dating a young lady. And we got together recently, and the young lady just wanted to talk about Summer House. And I didn't have the heart to say, it's not just that I couldn't talk to her about Summer House. I didn't know what Summer House was. I had never heard of it in my life. I was not aware of its
Bravo
existence.
Show, or is
I assume.
I think it's a Bravo show.
But she was like referring to something, and she was like, from Summer House. And I guess because I'm in
a reality show.
I think she got there because I referenced that I enjoyed Olivia Rodrigo or something. It's like, I like Olivia Rodrigo.
Wait, Weston Wilson is on this show? Oh, his name's West Wilson.
Sure it is.
Weston Wilson speaks out. Sorry, West Wilson.
She started bringing up the names of some of these people. I was like, huh? And I was like, she's like, from Summer House, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm not aware of the existence of Summer House. It doesn't do a damn thing for me. I'm sorry. Andrew Stecka says it's Stanley Cup playoffs, Stanley Cup final.
Are we just going to believe him?
Single final. I mean, I'd say he's more of an authority than we are. Is he a Capitals fan?
I don't know what he does.
I don't even know what
I didn't know he liked hockey. I thought he liked
I realized that
soccer,
right? And really
football,
and no baseball, soccer and baseball, are the only things he actually.
Liked the NFL.
Well, he pays the Ravens, but they're just the Ravens, I think, for football.
He won't watch Monday Night Football if it's not the Ravens.
I don't think he'll prioritize it. I don't think it's the top of his list. But yes, that's what he says. Anything that's actually a highlight this evening?
There's another untold, the shooting at Hawthorne Hill.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, that looks good. A dispute
between a dressage trainer and his student spirals into bloodshed.
Yeah. I haven't watched Jailblazers yet because we're going to do that the following week.
Yeah, this one does sound good as well. So.
We're doing Sky King next week for book club, and then we're going to do Jailblazers the following week for book club. And if I watch them even a day before we talk about them, I'm going to forget about what happened.
So it has to be day of.
Day of, man.
All right. Well, I do want to watch the Sky King one, kind of. So what day will that be? I guess you don't know.
We're hoping next Monday.
Okay.
We're hoping. Caleb's been working recently and making the scheduling a little bit difficult.
How dare he?
So, well, it might be that you're doing the show with us next Monday if you're doing book club.
All right.
That might be
the Sky King one?
Yeah, that would be the Sky King
all right.
one.
All right, I'm in it.
All right. Well,
if it's not a doc I don't like, then
you're no chance in hell. Fair enough. That it?
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Not a whole lot non-sports wise.
Thanks today to AJ Pierzynski. Thanks also to Patrick Stevens. We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the.
Let's do Nikki Glazer and Jesse Tyler Ferguson are going to be on Fallon tonight.
I think I would go. I would go to that tour. I would. What has Jesse Tyler Ferguson been up to since Modern Family? I'm not familiar with anything that I've seen him in since that point.
I had to get maybe like a book or something. That feels like something he'd do.
That sounds like the type of thing he would do.
Oh, he was in Cocaine Bear, remember? Yeah.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah,
he was in the Very Jonas Christmas movie, which I didn't. I watched half.
Believe it or not, I
missed
that one.
I didn't get the. I didn't finish.
That's a shame.
I don't know what else he's been up to.
Joe Jonas sang the national anthem at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Was it good? It was good.
It was good. Sure, it was good. All right, very good.
Looks like he might be on Broadway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Sounds good. Good for him. But I would go to that tour. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow,
Drew will be here.
Oh, God.
I think we'll catch up with KZ.
How are we doing this with KZ? Because I want to do the draft if we're doing them. Because KZ, like,
he said he should be on Zoom. Or do you want me to?
Are we going to involve? Am I going to get that? And then are we going to involve Drew? Like, there's no way Drew can name.
Well, I guess I was thinking no.
That's the thing.
Is I would separate you. I tell Drew you got to go at a certain point.
You figure that. That's going to be a you. You solve this. Can Drew be part of?
That's going to make the
look. It'd be fun.
Pool shout. Yeah,
we also need a penalty for the draft.
Mark Sweeney's going to join us as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I think.
Yeah.
We need a penalty for the draft. We'll do the draft. I'm for. I love the draft. By the way, we're not going to do a show on Thursday. The reason is because we're going to do a show Friday afternoon instead. So that we can do some post-first round draft content for you, because I'll be busy Thursday night with the radio show, so I can't do a Project Game Day. So we're going to do a Friday GCR in the afternoon to talk about what the Ravens did in the first round of the draft. So we won't be doing a show on Thursday. So we're going to do the draft. You got a penalty idea? You got to get them to me quick for the draft. And I would love to have Drew involved. And by the way, Drew could also just pull up a list of prospects and I'm fine with that if he's willing to do it. I enjoy the draft. Until the year that we all go over, which inevitably is going to happen.
So all get punished?
Yeah, right. All right. Thanks to I did that. I did thank the guests, right? Yeah, I did. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Orioles, the Costa Sin, Baltimore area High's Dairy Stores, Leading Edge Auto Body, Warnken Law, 1-800-GAMBLER, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Cruise, Maryland, CountySports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, BuyAToyota.com. Oh, by the way, John Little Rock knew it was Mockingbird. How about that? Well done.
He's a Midwest guy, right? So that's like.
And also, Andrew Stecca says Jesse Tyler Ferguson is a podcaster. So that's what he's into. He's into soccer, the Orioles, and Jesse Tyler Ferguson's podcast.
Okay.
That's what his list of interests. All right. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go Birds. Duke sucks.